Hello and welcome to a new series, this time focused on the moon. Please subscribe to the channel, share this video and any within the series with your friends and loved ones. Comment beneath, like the video and turn on the notification bell so you can hear when I release new things. Please send me an email if you would like to have a personal reading of your birth chart. This is my great passion and I love doing it, so thank you so much for tuning in. It brings me so much joy to share this amazing art science with you during this new Aquarian age that we're in. The moon is at home in Cancer and at home in the 4th house, so these are themes of family, mother, home, the heart, emotions. So I hope you enjoy this exploration. And deeper we dive. Here we go. Scorpio moon. Scorpio moon. Water moon. Fixed water moon. This also applies if you have got Pluto conjunct the moon, or if you have the moon in the 8th house. Deep and profound, and it's ineffable. It really is. You can't find words for this level of feeling, because it's not about words. And in this world of mental projections and mental stories, it's about something so much more real. Feelings. It's while the fire signs can sometimes have these fleeting emotions that jump all over the place, they don't have too much substance, whereas Scorpio feelings, they leave trails. They leave like a snail trail. They're there, and they're wounds, and they're kind of just this potent reminder of what you've been through. They're scar tissue. This is the place of emotional mastery. This is the place of really understanding emotions and where they come from. And this is the place where you sit in meditation and you feel 1,000 things. And there's no room for the mind here, and there's no room for grudges and stories and all of the judgments that come. And look at where your Mercury is doing, and look at what is happening with your ascendant and the rest of your chart that wants to really judge this position that is highly inconvenient. It's not convenient to have an emotional body that needs time, needs to take time, a lot of time, as much time as it needs. It's not a question of how much time, it's as much time as is necessary. And it can't be forced. And it's not fair to force the emotions. That's wrong. And when there has been a child with this position, the parents will often say, get over it. Why can't you just get over it? So there can be a lot of shutdown. I'm not sure how possible it is to really shut down the level of feeling that the Scorpio moon has. But it's deep, and it's hard, and it's heavy, and it's usually quite negative, and usually quite... it's a hurt beyond personal hurt. It's this wound that's so universal, and this deep distrust. So if I was talking in a different world, in a different time, in a different era, sometime in the future, maybe this would not have this quality to it. But because Scorpio is so shunned and so repressed and so denied, and that is dirt, like shitting and mud and detritus, sewers, sex, genitalia, sexuality, drive, passion, intimacy, and death. Death that we never talk about. Death that it's like it doesn't exist. It's like something that is not... It's the most universal. You could live your whole life and never have sex. You could live your whole life and not do many things, but you are going to die. This is so universal. Everybody shits, everybody fucks, and everybody dies. And these are the three things that unite us. And they're the three things that we most do not want to face or talk about or really admit to. We'll admit to little aspects of sex, we'll try to commodify it, we'll try to reframe it, we'll try to shame it, all of this stuff. And with shit, we just try and cover ourselves over and pretend that we're not matter, pretend that we're not one day going to go back into the earth and be worm food. And we try to dress it all up and have nice clothes and nice spray ourselves, but we're slowly dying from the moment that we're born. And we just don't accept death as anything. It doesn't exist, you know. And when it comes, it's this horrific thing, absolutely horrifically grief-stricken thing. And I'm not entirely sure that death needs to be so horrific and grieving has to be so horrific. And I'm not sure that birth, I'm certain that birth doesn't have to be so painful and horrific. But these are things that we're not really willing to talk about or address. And that level of suppression of that particular archetype that Scorpio holds means that there is just this, from the get-go, this feeling of like, oh, what is the point? There's this pessimism and this nihilism and this just general tendency towards depression. And I'm not saying this to bring you down, because you've probably already been there. You know, you're fucking tough, really, really tough individuals who have this placement, because they know the depths and they know the reality, and they kind of watch other people playing and then on the swings, oh, you're having fun, isn't that nice? But there's this huge elephant in the room, and Scorpio moon is that, and it can make other people feel uncomfortable. I say make other people feel uncomfortable when really it's other people having this side of themselves revealed and not liking the feeling that it conjures up, wanting everything to just stay smooth. There's also sometimes a tendency for other signs to come to you for that emotional need, you know, that emotional depth, to feel more real and to feel more in tune with all this stuff that is so repressed, because there is a real desire for integration in this world. We want to be able to address these big three things, and yet there is so much judgment and so much prejudice and so much fear. And maybe sometimes you'll see someone open up somehow sexually, and maybe there'll be someone in your life who you can have sex with and it's so passionate and so deep and so emotional. The next day they run a mile. Why? What? Because they can't handle everything that's being brought up for them, and they want it in small doses. Big thing about betrayal for Scorpio, and feeling betrayed all the time. And there has to be a level of empathy engaged here to realize other people are feeling something different from you. They're feeling something in a very different way, and they don't function in the same way as you. And to then have self-acceptance and self-belief that you can go through anything, that you are this resilient and that you are this admirable, and just to develop a healthy sense of ego, a healthy sense of who you are. And know, you know, and be able to recognize when people are coming to you because they are missing something. And this is a place for codependency as well. Watch out for Libras. And I would say the best relationship you can have, as always, is one with yourself, but also one where you can share and you can be heard, and someone else can just listen and just hold space and not get triggered and not go running off and not fly off the handle. So, you know, potentially with another Scorpio, potentially it's interesting when you get the coupling with a Capricorn, which is so emotionally repressed and so not wanting to face these things. And it really depends on the character that you've attracted into your world and where they're at. But the healthiest thing for you is just to accept yourself and to feel the acceptance of others. And ultimately, there is this law of attraction at play where when you do accept yourself, you will start attracting people that accept you for who you are, because they'll feel that. Whilst you feel shame, people with shame will be attracted to you. It's like with like. And ultimately, there is a desire for exploration, but it doesn't then need to become fetishized. It doesn't mean, right, sex, death, and shit. I need to start eating my own shit and going to orgies or whatever. It's just accepting these things as part of life, and they are not dirty and wrong and disgusting. They are what they are. And especially when it comes to sex, this can be something that can be totally divinitized and brought up to a level where it's full of heart and full of love and full of acceptance and purity and play, so much play. And it can be really lovely for the Scorpio moon to learn to laugh and learn to play. And it can be nice to spend time with a Taurus, because generally a Taurus is quite fixed in their ways. They're very calm and very just doing their own thing, and it's fixed earth, and that kind of level of stability can be nice when you need to sit there and be stable in yourself to then go down the plug hole that is your emotional experience. So look at the Taurus themes, look what's happening in Taurus in your chart. If you have any other planets there, look at what your Venus is doing, and probably something which will help you immensely is creating art, creating music. Do something creative, because it's a receptive sign, and that can be quite harmonizing to then do something creative. Because if you do too much that's receptive, as in taking in a lot of negative news media, which really enforces this feeling of shame, or taking in music that is very depressing, that is just you sort of feeling into someone else's emotion. Really sitting with yourself and feeling the emotion for what it is, not making it any worse and not trying to make it any better, just sitting with what's there. Doesn't need any kind of exaggeration. So really stay away from substance abuse, stay away from things which knock you off. Do anything that keeps your emotional state as balanced as can be. So no substances that really have a huge impact on your nervous system. Watch for the cortisol. Watch for people. You have to be very firm with people who are trying to force you to do things and force you out of a routine which works for you, and stick to something that is quite smooth. Eating right, eating grounding foods, not too much spice, nothing to inflame the systems, and not too much bread and pasta and all these things. You might go for comfort food to suppress the emotions, but just observation of everything. And I can say this with this conjunction I have with Pluto and Mercury and Scorpio. I know how this Scorpio energy can be used in a way which is not highly volatile emotionally, and something much more investigative. Like really investigate and look at where Mercury is in your chart, and just start really tuning into these other things, because your moon is not something stable. It's something you need to respect and let it work through you, but don't let it use you. Let yourself have the emotional experience you need, but always with a perspective that's a bit more mercurial, a bit more, okay, I can see what's happening here. I can see how this has been triggered, and look at sequence of events for if you do go into a spiral, and you can go back to the start, and that way you're not intellectualizing it in a way of trying to escape it, but just to get that perspective, and then say, right, this is what I'm feeling, and then cry it out. Crying is so healing. There's so much information in tears. There's so much information that can be carried in water. And just to always use intention and these kind of ceremonies. It's very deep and very profound. Scorpio moon. It's becoming more fashionable, but it's really not very type A, and it needs ceremony. It needs to kind of work through things in the way that it feels best. So I feel for you. and but not with you. I let you have your emotional experience, and don't then feel the guilt that you're triggering others. You know, they really are entitled to their own emotional experience, and so are you. And if you're triggering them, it's just something that they need to experience. Okay? Very important to realize that. Yeah, you're not to blame. Lots of love.